Organic chemistry as a chemistry science is based on electrons. In organic chemistry, bonds are formed and broken. Specifically, covalent bonds are formed and broken. Let's take, for example, a hypothetical molecule of this type, AB. Now, if this covalent bond between A and B is to be formed, we can envision the two electrons of that bond as coming homolytically between two different species. Each of them has a single electron. We are talking about basically radical type reactions. So an A with a single electron unites with a B with a single electron, and this type of reaction is called radical type, and it's bond formation. It's also called homolytic because a single electron is donated to another single electron from another species. Each of these is called a radical. So this is a B radical, and this is an A radical. Now, since radicals react with each other, in this case, to make the AB molecule or the covalent bond, to form the covalent bond between A and B, this type of process or reaction is called homolytic bond formation reaction. So this is one type. The other type, or the other point which we need to learn also, is to keep track of electrons. Now, chemistry, organic chemistry, is based on electrons. We should be able to indicate electron movement using Cayley arrows. And there are two types of Cayley arrows. One arrow is of this type, the single-headed arrow, so to indicate movement or transfer of a single electron from the B radical to the A radical. So that's a movement of a single electron from B, and that's a movement of a single electron from A. The two electrons unite to make a covalent bond. That's the new bond between A and B. So this is a radical type reaction or homolytic bond formation reaction. It's also homolytic. Homolytic bond formation reaction, but radical reactions constitute a minority action in organic reactions. Organic reactions are vastly polar type reactions. If we take, for example, the same molecule, A and B, we can envision, remember, we need two electrons to make that covalent bond between A and B. We can envision the two electrons that have been used to make that covalent bond between A and B to be coming from one species, from one intermediate, if you like, the electron source that would then go to the electron site, if you like, or the site that requires electrons. So we can envision A with two electrons, which reacts then with B. So the A has the electrons. Okay, so this is the electron source, electron-rich site, if you like. So this is electron-rich. For that, of course, obviously, this should be electron-poor. The two electrons transfer from A to B, and we can indicate the electron movement using a Cayley arrow. And the Cayley arrow should now be, unlike the one that we used before in the radical type reactions, the arrow should be fully headed, if you like, to indicate movement of two electrons. So here it's a movement of a single electron. Here it's a movement of two electrons. This type of reaction is called polar. It is polar. It's also called heterolytic bond formation reaction. So these reactions are polar. They are also heterolytic. The two electrons that have transferred from A to B constitutes a covalent bond between A and B. Now, this is the electron-rich site, or the site that has the electron density. This is the electron-poor site, or the site that requires electrons. Now, in chemistry, or in organic chemistry, this species or this intermediate is called a nucleophile. A nucleophile because it's a source of of electrons. It's a nucleophile. It's a nucleus loving because the nucleus is positively charged. That's the source of electrons, and thus the name nucleophile. So that's a nucleophile, which then reacts with a B. A B species or a B intermediate is a site or intermediate that requires electrons. It's, if you like, electron deficient in a way. So for that, it's also described as electrophile. It's electron loving because electrons are negatively charged, and this is like positively charged, and thus the description or the designation of electrophile. So the nucleophile reacts with the electrophile to give a covalent bond between A and B. Let's now learn about different types of nucleophiles and different types of electrophiles.